Part 16. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 153. Chapter 153 You are my brother. The quiet Han Weiwei's eyes made Wei Suo a little bit uncomfortable, so he waved his hand. Anyway, you followed me to kill the monster beast and swallowed the united void pellet. This amethyst fox rose would have been IOU. Then why didn't you call me to Sky Valley? You didn't promise me. If you have to earn spiritual stones, you must call me. Han Weiwei looked at Wei Suo and said with a complicated look, and I still ask you not to go to Sky Valley, but you still tell me not to go. I have to say so clearly, why are you tired with you, do you know? I am tired. You also help me to pick amethyst fox rose. Han Weiwei looked at Wei Suo. What do? You also ate a united void pellet. Wei Suo said, you don't have to worry about it. I am good at it, not just an amethyst fox rose. This retreat I have refining a amethyst fox rose, there is no problem. If you really worried about me, you should never let others know I picked up the amethyst fox rose. I was in the Sky Valley, but a few I have to provoke, a few I still can't afford. The guy, don't be found to be me. I am a city may be cut into a 4-paragraph, a paragraph left in the east, a piece of lost in the south, the other 2 lost in the south of the north of town. Hey, he heard Wei Suo say. Han Weiwei couldn't help but laugh out of surging sound. You, old hooligan. Wei Suo, after she couldn't help but laugh, she suddenly put out her finger and knocked on Wei Suo's forehead. She said with a serious statement, from today, you are my best brother. Wei Suo, are you sick? Do you have a brother? Still brother? Han Weiwei glanced at Wei Suo and seriously threatened, I tell you, I am now Heavenly Circuit Realm Ice Spiritual Root Cultivator. If you dare to say that I am tired, I will dare to lie to me and earn spiritual stones. If you don't call me, I must not let you off. Wei Suo is a glimpse of this, and I can't help but look at the 3 mythical Underworld Ice Lotus in Han Weiwei's hands. You refining mythical Underworld Ice Lotus and repairing Ice Spiritual Root. Would you think I changed Ice Spiritual Root when I woke up? Han Weiwei chilled a surging sound and handed mythical Underworld Ice Lotus to Wei Suo. But someone already knows that you gave me amethyst fox rose. Wei Suo suddenly a surging sound screams, great treasure sister, you are not the most talked about talking. Did you promise me a few days and tell others? What is this about shapeshift great art? Han Weiwei smiled happily. It's not what I said to people. It was what I saw by senior sister. Wei Suo yelled, you senior sister? Known as the first beauty of Spirit Peak City, Jiyat. Crap, I am a senior sister, except who else she is? Han Weiwei looked at Wei Suo's hairpin and immediately murdered, tell you that you don't want to hit her mind, even if you just think about it in your head. Please, I have never seen her before, how to fight her idea? Wei Suo couldn't help but look at Han Weiwei. Have you seen her? Should she not go out and talk? Han Weiwei looked at Wei Suo with contempt. You are relieved. It is difficult for others to talk to her. Who will she tell? Also, this mythical Underworld Ice Lotus is her intercourse to be sent to you. Is it for you? Wei Suo stayed for a while, and the table lust was a little weird. You refined a few pieces of mythical Underworld Ice Lotus before you built Ice Spiritual Root. 2 pieces. Han Weiwei looked at Wei Suo with a smug look and threw him a white jade pill bottle. Ice Spirit Pill, which I refined by senior sister, can play mythical Underworld Ice Lotus with the most great treasure. Also, my senior sister wants to see you. When are you free to tell me? A surging sound, I will take you to see her. You senior sister want to see me? Wei Suo holds mythical Underworld Ice Lotus in one hand and a white jade pill bottle in one hand. The lust becomes more eccentric, and the one is excited and it is a silly look. Wei Suo, are you a little bit good? I will tell you that my senior sister wants to see you. Are you excited to be like this? Han Weiwei, who saw Wei Suo, was speechless. I am excited. Wei Suo didn't know what to say to Han Weiwei. Jiyat, Thousands of cultivators want to see a glimpse of the great treasure and most of the first beauty of Spirit Peak City. I don't know how many cultivators dream of the dual cultivation object. Now Wei Suo has almost 80% confidence that the one who was in Sky Valley and the one that she saw in the sky is Han Weiwei's senior sister Jia. Mythical underworld immortal lotus. This kind of heaven-level spiritual herb is simply impossible to meet. Even if there is a power of great treasure, it may not be available, and Wei Suo just asked about it in an irresponsible way. Jia gave Han Weiwei this mythical underworld immortal lotus was brought in 5 pieces. Mythical underworld immortal lotus itself is a 7-piece lotus petal. It is 5 pieces in the hands of Han Weiwei, because the 2 pieces are already in the hands of Wei Suo's. What makes Wei Suo the most confident is the conversation between the face of the female cultivator Absolute Beauty and the female cultivator and the black cultivator. In addition to Jia, who has the kind of natural ice white but noble temperament, so amazing face. The cultivator of Spirit Peak City wants to see Jia, which I can't see at a glance. I actually see it by myself. Not only is every secret place on my body seen by myself, I have seen it for so long, and I have touched it myself. That place. Looking back now, Wei Suo even feels the soft elasticity and numbness that comes from the hand. She actually took care of her senior sister, and touched it, and now Jia wants to see herself, which makes Wei Suo a little bit ignorant. If I saw it, I was recognized by her at once. What kind of vision would it be? Wei Suo thought that he had noted great treasure. After all, he did not feel like a cultivator, he felt radiant. Handsome like a jade tree. I feel that after Jia is seen by himself, he will not marry himself. If Wei Suo is a golden core stage cultivator, then it is still possible. Like the strong great treasure of the golden core stage cultivator, there are quite a few female cultivators in the cultivation world of heavenly profound continent that will be posted up, so that intercourse is good. Even if you can't get much secret place directly, hang a certain the brand of a golden core cultivator pillow will make most of the cultivator jealous. In the cultivation world, after all, the most important thing is the cultivation base and the strength. Wei Suo's thoughts in the mind of the sea could not help but secretly send out such feelings. What do you say? Wei Suo has turned a myriad of thoughts in my mind for a while, and I feel that this fact is too clever, and I feel that I am too bullish. Forcing, even the first beauty of Spirit Peak City was looked at by myself and touched it. But Han Weiwei, who didn't know that he wanted shapeshift great art, couldn't help but want to slap him, and asked fiercely. I will wait until I am almost closed. After Wei Suo thought about it, he still replied. In the end, how to secret place and meet with Jia, Wei Suo feels that he still has to think clearly. Good. Han Weiwei thought about it and asked, how long have you been preparing for the retreat this time? It is estimated that it will take at least 2 to 3 months. Wei Suo sighed a little. Now these 3 mythical underworld immortal lotus can be said to be an unexpected great treasure surprise. You should have 2 more mythical underworld immortal lotus to condense the realized spiritual root. At the speed of the previous refining, it took 7 days to build the realized spiritual root, and the next 40 days broke through the heavenly circuit realm 3rd layer. It will take nearly 2 months, and then I will be able to refine the heaven mending pellet cultivation, which is estimated to be a very fast speed for 3 months. You want to repair heavenly circuit realm 3rd layer, Han Weiwei called out as soon as he heard it. Well, it seems that you are not a small harvest in Sky Valley this time. Right, you can help me sell the shapeshift great art. Listening to Han Weiwei, Wei Suo suddenly reacted and hurriedly asked, you rare treasure pavilion should have some shapeshift great art, can you sell the shapeshift great art secretly? It seems that the harvest is not small. Han Weiwei nodded and said, this is of course no problem. I ask senior sister to help the secret place. What kind of shapeshift great art do you want to sell? Wei Suo reached for a move and handed a treasure receiving pocket to Han Weiwei. Han Weiwei great treasure. After picking up the past, divine consciousness swept away, her little face was a bit whitish. Wei Suo, how many people have you killed, how many times have you gotten? Great treasure is mostly someone else killing goods, I got it. Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei, no problem. No problem. Han Weiwei's careful liver and unsatisfied pounced for a while, did not fight with Wei Suo. She is also very clear about what the Sky Valley is. At the moment, Wei Suo gives her the treasure receiving pocket. There are more than 20 pieces of half-spirit class defensive artifact, in addition to a dozen pieces of spirit rank. Attack the shapeshift great art. Such an amazing amount makes her even more imaginable. In the days when Kai Valley was opened, what it meant for the ordinary cultivator, not to mention the fact that he went in only the cultivation of the heavenly circuit realm first layer. Base. Although Wei Suo said that she owes her, she knows that even if the general cultivator owes more to others, it may not be like him to venture into Sky Valley, especially if he is so timid and afraid of death. At the thought of this, Han Weiwei's heart is full of an indescribable feeling. And let her feel full of feelings, Wei Suo is still holding a surging sound at this time. If you look at something inside, I can lend it to you first. Anyway, I don't say, I will definitely find an excuse to greedy first. It's just that these things are temporarily unseen. Even if you want to use you, let your senior sister help the secret place, don't let people see what they are. Also don't think that the ice spiritual route is a must, and don't go out to the city to die. Like your cultivation base, I have to take a good look at it, or else it will be in the way. Wei Suo, you remember that you promised me when he left to feed her mind-devouring bug and secret place, which was devastated by her to death. Han Weiwei stopped for a moment and said to Wei Suo. One sentence, if you dare to lie to me next time, then there is such a profit precious treasure. The matter of spiritual stones is not brought to me. I am absolutely not finished with you. Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei's bumpy back and rolled one's eyes. He said in his heart, no brothers, when I promised you. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 154. Chapter 154 Occasional, 2nd, Red Ticket. He. Back in the quiet room, I saw 3 pieces of mythical underworld immortal lotus in my hand. Wei Suo can be said to be like a dream. Unexpectedly, I was able to see it for a long time, and I watched it for a long time. Even the absolute beauty female cultivator that I touched, there is actually a lot of famous master who wants to get on intimate terms with but has no chance to see Ji yet. No one will believe it. But Ji Ya's delicate jade naked body, every secret place, now Wei Suo is still clear, so that he can't help but feel a little excited. But after a while, Wei Suo quickly calmed down. After all, he started to live in Spirit Peak City since he was 13 years old. He knows that the cultivation world strength and cultivation base represent everything. Now the most important thing is to improve your own strength and cultivation base. No one knows if he has killed the 2 great sect elite disciple and the earth fire immortal lotus in the hands of those sect masters. If you can get to the cultivation base above the thought division stage 3rd layer, then Wei Suo's doesn't have to be as jealous as it is now. And listening to the conversation between Ji Ya and the black cultivator that day, Rare Treasure Pavilion seems to be threatened by any force. So Susu also understands that Ji Ya wants to send these 3 pieces of mythical underworld immortal lotus and think about it. The intention to meet with myself. With Wei Suo and Han Weiwei's intercourse lust, if Han Weiwei has something to do, he is unlikely to stand by. After the mind calmed down, Wei Suo opened the white jade pill bottle that Han Weiwei handed to himself. Inside the white pill bottle, there are 3 white medicine pills lying on the ice with spiritual qi. Although Han Weiwei's rash guy didn't tell Wei Suo about the details of the naked body, Wei Suo was sure that one of the ice spirits would be a mythical underworld immortal lotus refining. After pouring out an ice spirit pill from inside, Wei Suo directly swallowed a piece of mythical underworld immortal lotus in the mouth. Then Wei Suo immediately sat down and entered the motionless taking cultivation. After that, among the Weisuo's heaven-grade residents, there was a stagnation. In the following days, Weisuo couldn't make a half-step in heaven-grade residence, but every other dozen days, at night, there would be a cyan jade pot slowly drifting out of his residence, always more than a foot above the ground. The height of the sky is steady and then floats to the outside of the lingtai. Inside the jade pot is the spiritual stones, which are paid to Zhu Xiaochun and Zhen Chongming for the next 10 days, and the notes that intercourse will do next. What to look at? The jade plates used to hold the spiritual stones are simple and plain jade plates, not the shapeshift great art. Even the shapeshift great art, spirit field, and Weisuo's quiet room are at least 100 feet away. Even the master of the thought division stage, it is impossible to cross the building and the great treasure door. The control of a jade plate drifted slowly beyond such a long distance. These two guys who couldn't figure out anything can see such a lust scene, but they feel that they are very sharp with the great treasure, and they are more deadly to Weisuo. This time, Weisuo's retreat was a bit long for both of them, because it was more than 40 days since I was unaware of it, but Weisuo, who was retreating in it, was quite a surprise. Because of this, almost all stages of the culture, the speed is all out of his expectations. At the beginning of refining mythical underworld ice lotus, Weisuo found that his half of ice spiritual root's naked body and Jiya's ice spirit pill could make refining mythical underworld ice lotus several times faster. Although the simultaneous presence of the fire spirit root naked body is still weakening the power of mythical underworld ice lotus, it took only 3 days to refining 2 pieces of mythical underworld ice lotus, and Weisuo formed a real ice spiritual root's naked body quality, when running true Yuan, fire spirit root and ice spiritual root variation scenery, became the only dual spiritual roots cultivator on heavenly profound continent. In the process of retreating through the heavenly circuit realm third layer cultivation base, the entry of the cultivation base also made Weisuo happy. Dual spiritual roots naked body. The talent of the cultivator is undoubtedly the common cultivator. Even if the culture is also the earth level low grade, the shape of the golden spirit pelt, the limit of the golden spirit pellet is about 10. But slightly better than Weisuo expected. Weisuo's golden spirit pellet limit of 13 refining is actually 13 pieces. In other words, the speed of Weisuo's cultivation is now 30% faster than the average cultivator. What surprised him even more was that after only a month and 30 days of refining the 390 golden spirit pellet, Weisuo opened up the 9th Linghai and successfully broke through heavenly circuit realm's third layer. The golden spirit pellet is still more than 150 pieces. Finally, Weisuo carefully felt that this unexpected lust shape did not mean that the total amount of spiritual chi required to break through to heavenly circuit realm's third layer was less than estimated, but because of the refining of earth fire immortal lotus and mythical underworld. There is also the amazing spiritual chi in immortal lotus itself. And the previous twin-headed canine has contributed to the improvement of his naked body and the healing effect of amethyst fox rose. The dual spiritual roots and the heavenly circuit realm third layer add up to a dozen days ahead of what he expected, so in the next 6 or 7 days, Weisuo continued to nurture mind devouring in addition to refining 2 doses of nurturing demon liquid. Beyond the bug, he has begun to refine the heaven mending pellet day and night. Now Weisuo's means of refining heaven mending pellet is very skillful. Not only can it be completely refining, but the rate of Chengdan has also increased slightly. It is close to 70%. In 7 days, Weisuo's has already saved nearly 100 pieces. Heaven mending pellet. After trying to refining a heaven mending pellet, Weisuo found that the now only body of dual spiritual roots, refining heaven mending pellet is much faster than before, but has no added effect on the strength of heaven mending pellet. There are so many spiritual herbs before refining, and it seems that there is no relationship with divine C. So to upgrade the purple mystic true technique to the true earth level mid-level, the total number of 500 heaven mending pellets is definitely indispensable. To fill 500 heaven mending pellets, Weisuo will take nearly 30 days. Originally, Wei Suo was in a hurry to finish the retreat after raising the purple mystic true technique to earth level mid-level. Soaking in the nurturing demon liquid, burning the mind-devouring bug of many of the spiritual stones of Wei Suo every day, there have been signs of further great treasure, and after 30 days, the power of this mind-devouring bug will definitely improve a grade. In fact, every time he sent out the jade plate, he also sent him the mind-devouring bug. Earth level mid-level shapeshift great arts heavenly circuit realm 3rd layer cultivation base is stronger than forces mystic rank shapeshift great arts heavenly circuit realm 4th layer cultivator true UN, plus Wei Suo's hand things. If you encounter the old cultivator of the wind old devil, there is also a fight, not like the Sky Valley, no shapeshift great art contends. But at this time, the thing that happened was lust, but Wei Suo couldn't help but interrupt the retreat and came out of the quiet room. He actually felt the dramatic spiritual chi change in his own orchard, and this spiritual chi change seems to be the cultivator from the cultivation base of the divine sea realm 5th layer to the heavenly circuit realm, the 6th divine sea connected into the heavenly circuit. True UN is excited when it passes through. When I came out, Wei Suo was speechless. In these days, with enough lust of spiritual stone supply, Zhu Xiaochun broke through the great treasure of divine sea 5th layer and became heavenly circuit realm 1st layer. The cultivator, an aura determining technique swept, Wei Suo found that Zhen Chongming also seems to have reached the late stage of divine sea realm 5th layer, and after a while, it is possible to hit heavenly circuit realm. Seeing Zhu Xiaochun's happy smirk, while the long-lasting great treasure is making his own flattering, Wei Suo can't help but think, this is what the cultivation world said, the stupid cultivator is more than a blessing. Is the calculation empty? After being stunned by this matter, Wei Suo decided to go out slightly after a slight indulging, and by the way, look at Han Weiwei's cultivation base for any entry. But after a while, Wei Suo didn't come out after 3 consecutive calls to the gold line, and he tried to focus on True UN in the Jade Talisman, and stood quietly on the mountain. After a long time, there was still no Nangong Yuking in the line of sight. Wei Suo, who stood on the mountain road and walked away, didn't know that Han Weiwei at the moment was not in Spirit Peak City. One of the cities in which she is located is built on 7 hills. From the middle of the mountain to the top of the mountain, the buildings are densely connected, half mountain and mid-mountain, and many white arch bridges with amazing lengths are connected. The momentum is very magnificent. The size of the entire city seems to be twice as great as the giant treasure of Spirit Peak City. Among the 7 hills, the most eastern one is relatively low, but among the most extensive hills, there is a valley surrounded by green light and can't see the real. On the highest hills of the 7 hills, the highest hills, white mist, faintly visible immortal crane, bluebirds and other spirit beasts during the flight, there are many silver cast palaces. There is only one wide arch bridge between the hill and the rest of the 6 hills. There is no one walking at all. It is obvious that the cultivator is not allowed to pass by. The 2 sides are not only silver, but also contain restrictions. Cultivator guards. And on each bridgehead, there are 2 magnificent great treasure words, Juxing. Star convening Sex Mountain Gate. Han Weiwei turned out to be in the 7-star city, which is not too close to Spirit Peak City. At this moment, she was standing in the middle of a secret place on the southernmost side of 7-star city. Instead of wearing the silver shapeshift great art that she usually wears, she wore an ordinary goose-colored palace dress. There was also a layer of gauze on his face. Standing in the market street of the secret place, Han Weiwei, who is hanging out, her eyes have been gathered in a dry cultivator wearing a grey robe and a fight. It seems that she is following the cultivator secretly, from Spirit Peak City all the way to 7-star city. However, all of a sudden, the 2 cultivators of a man and a woman who walked in front of the right side attracted all of her gaze and filled her eyes with a stunned look. The gorgeous female cultivator of the tall figure is Nangong Yuking, and the male cultivator is actually the person she knows. It is the young master Li Honglin of the Golden Eagle Palace. In the eyes of Han Weiwei, there was an irritating look in the eyes, because the dry cultivator she stared at in this meeting, but did not know where to go. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 155. Chapter 155 Accidents, 3rd, Red Tickets. 7-Star City is the second largest treasure city in the Wanli region, the southernmost end of Heavenly Profound Continent. It is about twice as large as the nearest great, full-scale Fallen Moon City and Spirit Peak City. Heavenly Profound Continent. The southernmost first great treasure city is Scorpio City, located just diagonally on the Spirit Peak City, the farthest from Spirit Peak City, and the size of the great treasure is about 4 times that of Spirit Peak City. Because 7-Star City is built on the top of the 7 hills, and only in the city to limit the flying dragonfly, so often can see the flash of brilliance outside the city, cultivator with a variety of escape light flying to one of the hills. It fell outside the city and then entered 7-Star City. This kind of scene is much more lively than Spirit Peak City. Plus the number of cultivators settled in 7-Star City is also more than Spirit Peak City, so 7 place in Secret Star City transmits shapeshift great ART array is also very busy, with the bursts of spirit light flashing, into and out of the 7-Star City cultivator. A stream of heavenly circuit base of more than one of the realm cultivator, star convening sect disciple, who oversees the shapeshift great art array, has become accustomed to it. Just at Weisuo, Zhu Xiaochun interrupted the retreat and went out to find Han Weiwei, but Han Weiwei saw an early morning after more than 20 days between Nangong Yuking and Li Honglan in 7-Star City, the most in 7-Star City. In a secret place teleportation array on the south side of the hill, along with the flash of intuition, 2 male and 1 female cultivators are stepped out. 2 cultivator are very young, women dressed in silver shapeshift great art clothes. The figure is concave and convex, extremely charming, and male cultivator is not particularly eye-catching, wearing a common cyan cloth. Just make 2 guards shapeshift great. The star convening sect disciple of art array. It's amazing that the female cultivator and male cultivator have a kind of brisk, general cultivator breath. The charming female cultivator is okay, but after wearing the male cultivator in ordinary Tsingyi, after walking out of the shapeshift great art, it is a full-fledged countryman. This seemingly embarrassing young male cultivator is naturally Weisuo, who had been unable to pay for the cost of the shapeshift great art array because spiral stones was not enough. In addition to Spirit Peak City, he has never been to other cultivator cities. Now he is out of the shapeshift great art array and suddenly sees the extraordinary 7-Star City, which is twice as large as the Spirit Peak City great treasure. Of course, it is involuntary great treasure eyes, looking around. The main entrance to the star convening sect on the top of the mountain and the green gate of the eastern Jada Paradise in the southern valley, Weisuo is naturally visible at a glance. He remembered very clearly that the old wind in the sky valley and the old devil teamed up with the old monster Mo and Grandma Jin and other peoples Hikuadui, but also the elders of star convening sect. Now that I see the silver-filled temple, the hills of immortal Qi, it seems that star convening sect is still more powerful than heaven's first sect, as the outside world said. The streets of the entire 7-Star City are also cleaner and more classy than Spirit Peak City. Basically, the streets of Great Treasure are enough for 3 or 4 Great Treasure cars to line up side by side, and all of them are white marble with carvings on them. But what surprised him the most is that there are a lot of light curtains on the outside of many shops in 7-Star City, and obviously all kinds of restrictions are arranged. Among them, there is a green light curtain, which also shines with the 3 great words of spirit light condense, Qiang Pavilion. This kind of means that can use spirit light to condense its signature in restrictions is also very good. It's amazing. The first time I saw Weisuo is also very shocking. Standing on the corner of the street outside the shapeshift great art, after stopping at the 4 secret places and looking at 7-Star City for a long time, Wei Suo followed Han Wei and walked across a hill that was thousands of feet long. The white stone arch bridge walked toward a yellow-lighted square city. When you walk to the feint, you can see through the yellow mask that you are very majestic. There are 5 or 6 entrance halls, like a great treasure temple. Wei Suo's mouth is unconsciously emerged a bitter smile. From Zhu Xiaokun's breakthrough to the heavenly circuit realm first layer, the accidents in these 20 days are really a lot for Wei Suo. After going to find Han Wei in the sunrise, he just stepped into his heaven-grade residence. As a result, Zhen Chongming in the simple duo of the Great Treasure team greeted him with a smirk and asked if he was a heaven-grade residence. If you have a fire furnace room, you can use it with the fire furnace room. This Wei Suo is of course a bit of a surprise, asking what is the use of the fire furnace room by Zhen Chongming. As a result, Zhen Chongming scratched his head and said that he had finally prepared some materials for refining Lingyang Dan. According to his plan, after finishing the Lingyang Dan, he should be able to break through to heavenly circuit realm first layer after refining. The cultivation base is gone. Wei Suo is naturally more amazing at first glance. Lingyang Dan is also a kind of golden spirit pellet made with monster core of the 3rd level monster beast. The spiritual chi quantity is even the same as the golden spirit pellet. The difference between the most great treasure is that the monster core used by Lingyang Dan is among the 3-level monster beast monster core, which is the weatherless and the worst quality. To put it simply, this Lingyang Dan is equivalent to waste utilization, and it is a kind of medicine pill that is used by the monster core used by Shapeshift Great Art. Because the price of the main material is not high, the price of a refining material for Lingyang Dan, which is equivalent to golden spirit pellet, is added up. The great treasure is only 60 pieces of the spiritual stones. It can be a golden spirit pellet. The market price is 110 pieces of spiritual stones. Logically speaking, this medicine pill should be far better than the golden spirit pellet by intercourse, at least to grab the golden spirit pellet's very great treasure part of the mainstream status. But in fact, Lingyang Dan, the medicine pill, is rare in the market. The reason for this is not because the poor quality of the hybrid is not enough, but because it is necessary to make up the power of the hybrid. Lingyang Dan has more materials than the golden spirit pellet. Although the value is not high, the refining process is very cumbersome. The general alchemist is not very fond of intercourse refining this medicine pill. Even if it is refining, because of the long time spent and the high rate of waste, the price of Lingyang Dan is cheaper than that of golden spirit pellet. Not much, the cultivator is better to buy the golden spirit pellet directly. Of course, some get the low-grade rogue cultivator from pill recipe, and they will refine Lingyang Dan. After all, using Lingyang Dan cultivation can save a lot of spiritual stones, and the equivalent to 60 pieces of spiritual stones can reach 80 pieces of spiritual. The cultural effect above stones is just a matter of spending concocting pills. For Wei Suo's previous level of the rank rogue cultivator, time is not a problem. The key is not to earn spiritual stones. To save a spiritual stones, you must save the shapeshift great art. However, because of the complexity of refining, according to Heavenly Profound Continent, some cultivator says that shapeshift great art divides the level of the entire Heavenly Profound Continent alchemist into 9th grade from high to low. Only alchemist above the 3rd grade level can refine Lingyang Dan with very little chance of waste. In the eyes of the Spirit Peak City cultivator, Ji Ya, who is able to refine United Kingdom Void Pellets Earth level medicine pill, is already a must 6th grade alchemist. But it is almost monopolized by Ji Ya, which is supplied by Spirit Peak City medicine pill. It is also 6th grade. Wei Suo thinks that the guy who is a great treasure of Zhen Chongming can reach 3rd grade. It is really too ridiculous. Because Wei Suo estimates that he has refined so many ingredients such as heaven mending pellet and nurturing demon liquid, it is almost the same as the two products, less than 3rd grade. So Wei Suo said to Zhen Chongming that he was joking with me. Did you refine Lingyang Dan? But what makes him even more unbelievable is that Chen Chongming nodded very positively, saying yes, he has refining several pieces before, from Divine Sea Realm 4th layer to Divine Sea Realm 5th layer, he is breakthrough Ling Yang Dan. Wei Suo couldn't help but quickly clean up, and then let the guy with a well-developed, simple mind enter his earth fire furnace. What makes him unbelievable is that Zhen Chongming, who has developed his limbs and has a simple mind, is actually under the eyes of Wei Suo's, and has been refined into 3 Ling Yang Dan. 3 consecutive successes have not been explained by luck. There are only 2 explanations. One is either Zhen Chongming's refining of countless Ling Yang Dan, which is extremely skillful. The other is with Wei Suo on refining talisman. Like talent, Zhen Chongming has a high talent on concocting pills. And the level of cultivator like Chen Chongming, of course, it is impossible to refine many Ling Yang Dan. Listening to himself, Wei Suo said that he had refining dozens of Ling Yang Dan before. If it is not the first time, the success rate will reach 80% or more. Refining Ling Yang Dan will definitely not make a loss, and he will not choose to refine Ling Yang Dan. This great treasure brain simple guy, it is not stupid to count spiritual stones. And there is a very good concocting pills talent. This not only makes Wei Suo speechless, but also makes green-robed old man completely speechless. Then, Han Wei brought him an accident. She actually said that at 7-Star City, Nangong Yuking and Li Honglin were talking and laughing. Han Wei was because of a sudden appearance of medicine pill called Restoring True Pill, tracking a cultivator to 7-Star City. Because in just a few days, the sudden appearance of this in the Spirit Peak City is exactly the same as that of the Qi Recovery Pellet, which allows the cultivator to quickly respond to some of True Yuan's medicine pill. But the price of this Restoring True Pill is 10% lower than the RI Recovery Treasure Pavilion's Qi Recovery Pellet. This pair of rare treasure pavilion naturally formed the impact of a very great treasure. On that day, Han Wei was just above the rogue cultivator market outside Lingyu City. I saw the cultivator shot 500 Restoring True Pill and then secretly followed the cultivator to 7-Star City, chasing some clues. But I did not expect to see Nangong Yuking and Li Honglin. This news made Wei Suo feel unbelievable, because he knew that Nangong Yuking had always hated Li Honglin, the second master. After careful calculations in my heart and careful comparison with green-robed old man, Wei Suo tried to make Zhen Chongming refine the heaven-mending pellet. As a result, his great treasure was hit. Under his guidance, Zhen Chongming only made a few pieces, and the success rate has exceeded 60%. Maybe the great treasure brain is simple, there is no need to think about shapeshift great art. When concocting pills, he is more focused than the general cultivator. As for other talent reasons, Wei Suo can't find it. In the following days, Wei Suo simply gave his excess golden spirit pellet to Zhen Chongming, and let Chen Chongming break through the cultivation base of Heavenly Circuit Realm 1st layer. After that, Wei Suo asked Zhen Chongming to refine the heaven-mending pellet for him. Because the rest of the liquid is prepared by Wei Suo, in addition to Cyan Beetle's monster core, it is impossible for Zhen Chongming to know the prescription of heaven-mending pellet. After a few days of observation, Zhen Chongming, who was very grateful to Wei Suo for his golden spirit pellet, had no extra thoughts on shapeshift great art, and he helped Wei Suo concocting pills. He could also produce many heaven-mending pellets in one day. But this is still somewhat uneasy Wei Suo except to Zhen Chongming that heaven-mending is specifically with his work pellet great art can use shapeshift medicine, other pill eater after taking on the contrary will have extremely adverse side effects, but also let Zhen Chongming will waste Dan, so in accordance with Zhu Xiaochun by Cyan Beetle's monster the number of core, and refined into the heaven-mending pellet and the number of waste Dan, you can know Zhen Chongming have eaten so 1 or 2 stars. So even if you don't retreat, and someone will help you refine the heaven-mending pellet, Wei Suo will go out and be prepared to see Nangong Yuking and see what is going on. However, it is clear that Han Wei has already helped Wei Suo to hear the fate of Nangong Yuking's naked body. Nangongyuking has returned to Spirit Peak City, but when he rushes past, Nangongyuking has left. During these 20 days, I have never seen Nangongyuking. So Weisuo, who was so depressed, only waited for the news of Nangongyuking, and prepared for the next cultivation. As for Jiya, Weisuo didn't have time to think about secret place, and because Jiya was also studying retreats about pill recipe, so the meeting was temporarily delayed. Today, he made his way to 7-Star City, which he had never been to, but received the news from the owner of 9 Cauldrons Pavilion, Murong Chen, that 7-Star City has a great treasure type auction, and this auction during the meeting, there will be several complete map auctions of Heaven's Dome, including a map of the Dragon Cliff area that Weisuo wants. Next, Weisuo's goal is the golden spotted ginseng that may exist in the Dragon Cliff. After all, cultivation goes on, and it is a matter of time to break through the boundaries of Thought Division Realm. From Heavenly Circuit Realm to Thought Division Realm, it is also a great treasure level that cultivator faces, and there are not many cultivators that fall into this level. It is only safe to get this mental herb and break through to the Thought Division Realm. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 156. Chapter 156 Beauty and the Beast, first. If you can get a map of the Dragon Cliff and get the golden spotted ginseng this time, then Weisuo will plan to go out and go to Phoenix Nest City to see the Red Monster Core. Intercourse to the granddaughter of Grandma Jin. According to Grandma Jin, if you can get another 200,000 copies of spiritual stones, then Weisuo should be able to re-enter the Heavenly Circuit Realm 4th layer and even the cultivation base of the 5th layer. Weisuo's previous intercourse gave Xuanhuan more than 20 half-spirit class defensive artifacts and a dozen pieces of semi-spirit rank attacks on the Shapeshift Great Art. All but the 7 ranks good treasure receiving pocket, the rest of the treasure the receiving pocket has also secretly let Xuanhuan get rid of the channel secret place of the rare treasure pavilion. These things brought him a total of 130,000 pieces of the proceeds from the spiritual stones. A complete map of a region outside of Heaven's Dome, up to thousands of spiritual stones, so in addition to breaking the map of Dragon Cliff, he should be able to see if there are any other upgrades and cultivations in the auction. Base of good things. While thinking about it in the heart, while the 4 secret places were looking at the novelty, after a while, the spiritual treasure house covered by the yellow mask was completely presented in front of Weisuo and Xuanhuan. I saw a wide square in front of the square in front of the city. The ground was covered with a giant brick that didn't know what clay was burned. It looked golden yellow, and each piece was 2 feet square. There is a mark of the 3 words of the spirit great treasure. Around the wide square, there are many cultivators set up stalls, obviously also to take advantage of the popularity of the auction. There is no chance to sell what they don't need at a good price. Along the way, Weisuo has seen that the number of squares in the 7-Star City, which is larger and more magnificent, is estimated to be doubled compared to Spirit Peak City. As one of the most great treasures in 7-Star City, the Great Treasure Auction held by the famous Great Shift Great Art of Ranks Good Shapeshift Great Art is also much more popular than Weisuo. The auctions that I have participated in before have a lot of great treasure. At this time, the Great Treasure Auction of the Spiritual Treasure House began to have a small half hour, but the Dao cultivator in the square has gathered at least 300. Some of these Dao cultivators are chatting together in groups of 3, and some are interested in watching the cultivators around them. Many of the Dao cultivator costumes are obvious and the surrounding cultivators of Spirit Peak City and Fallen Moon City. Different, it seems that it should be especially from a farther place to participate in this great treasure auction. Weisuo or a determining technique saw that these cultivators were also much higher grades than the cultivator at the Spirit Peak City auction. The cultivators of the Divine Sea Realm 5th layer and the Heavenly Circuit Realm 1st layer cultivation base abound. Heavenly the cultivator above Circuit Realm 3rd layer is also present. I am hesitating to see if there are any good things on the cultivators' stalls, or when I am ready to enter the scene, A strange noise is heard from the east side of the square. Wei Suo just turned around and suddenly couldn't help but call surging sound, hum. I saw a giant great treasure of the wild beast slowly. This giant great treasure of the beast has the small stone house before the Wei Suo great treasure small, covered in cyan, looks like a cow, but the head is a white one angle, the body is covered with water waves. Water attribute monster beast at level 5 high level, watermark cyan ox. The level 5 high level monster beast, single-handedly, but the strength is no less than the ordinary heavenly circuit realm 3rd layer cultivator. In fact, many of the level 5 or more monster beasts have been repeatedly killed by divine sea realms cultivator, basically relying on many people, and eat great treasure. Not to look at the watermark cyan ox looks very rich, but in fact the character is extremely fierce and cruel, and it is estimated that mind-devouring bug is not much worse. At the moment, the watermark cyan ox's generous back is a saddle-like seat with a gorgeous female cultivator wearing a golden armor short skirt. The long hair microvolume of this female cultivator is actually a somewhat strange dark red face. The eyes of the melon seeds are particularly bright and moving. Especially between the eye waves, the seductive appearance is amazing. It seems to drip out water. The most striking thing is that the golden armor short skirt on the female cultivator seems to save too much. Her upper body of the golden armor, incredibly only to protect the chest of 2 secret place towering, arms, back even small waist great treasure part of the white jade-like skin are exposed, and this is not known with what essence metal to create. It looks like brilliance flash moving the golden armor, or hollow pattern, so that light to see the gorgeous female cultivator upper body, it is enough to let people spray blood. But the short skirt of her lower body black leather is also too short to be short. 2 snow white but white slender gray treasure legs, shaking with the movement of the beasts underneath, she looks like a pair of ranks. The red leather boots are also hollowed out. In the morning sun, this scene is really a beauty and a beast. Not to mention Wei Suo, who has never seen a lot of people in the world. Even Han Wei is a bit stunned. Do you not know this Xuanhuan? While Wei Suo was staring at the extremely exposed female cultivator, there was a surging sound behind her surging sound. This woman is called Xuanhuan? Curious special name. Wei Suo turned his head and saw that he was talking to an ordinary yellow shirt boy. Comment Wei Suo couldn't help but look at the strange yellow shirt boy. This plain yellow shirt is a kind of light surging sound. This woman is the disciple of the spirit beast palace, named Xuanhuan. It is a talented gold spirit root cultivator. It has already broken through the heavenly circuit realm 4th. The cultivation base of the layer is highly valued by the spirit beast palace. This woman's clothing has always been very exposed, and the manner of behavior seems to be extremely high. Swinging, giving people a feeling of slutty, often fascinated by many cultivators. But often cultivator is fascinated by her, and when she is desperately trying to discuss her intercourse heart, she is often severely punished by her means. Even if she only looks at her like Xiangtai, she might be remembered by her, causing trouble with great treasure. Before a month ago, a cultivator pretended to be walking next to her wild beast, and when she sneaked into the scenery of her short skirt, she noticed that when the cultivator went hunting outside the city to kill the monster beast, it was dug out of the binocular, and it is her talent that needless to say. I wear it like this, but it doesn't make people look at it? Wei Suo couldn't help but call a surging sound, and I swept over the secret place. I almost looked at the great treasure. Most of the male cultivator not only looked at her without the color of the tits, but instead looked at the great treasure, and avoided it. I can't help it. However, called the call, under the kind reminder of the young cultivator of this yellow shirt, Wei Suo did not dare to sneak into the semi-naked, seemingly seduce female cultivator. The rare talent gold spirit root, the cultivation base of heavenly circuit realm 4th layer, Wei Suo is not afraid now. After all, Wei Suo is now a dual spiritual roots cultivator. Under the arrangement of green-robed old man, there will be no accidents, and soon you can catch up with the cultivation base of this semi-naked beauty riding a wild animal. But the background of this semi-naked beauty is Weisuo's temporary temptation. Myriad Tomb City, also south of Heavenly Profound Continent, is a city of cultivator that is separated from this 7-star city by 2 cities. The general cultivator mentions Myriad Tomb City, but the great treasure will be called the Beast City. Because of several sects in Myriad Tomb City, there are beasts and cultivating monster beast. Because of this, many of the various cities in Myriad Tomb City also have a lot of materials for the beasts and the cultivation of monster beast. Over time, many cultivators that have a monster beast have been kept. Because of convenience, they also like intercourse in Myriad Tomb City settled. So in Myriad Tomb City to the secret place visible cultivator with monster beast walking around the street. The Spirit Beast Palace is the most great sect that dominates Myriad Tomb City. It is said that the characters of the Golden Core cultivation base have appeared a few decades ago. The strength is still above Heaven's first section. Thunder Firmament sect is almost one level of existence. Spirit Beast Palace dominates Myriad Tomb City. It's loose. For the fight of some individual cultivators in the city, the Great Treasure adopts an eye-opening attitude. Some cultivators fight and destroy some buildings. As long as you pay for certain spiritual stones, you can return to the original. So the city winds of Myriad Tomb City are the most embarrassing in the southern part of Heavenly Profound Continent. The experience of the cultivator's shapeshift great art is much higher than the cultivator in other cities. I think it's a deserved job. Who makes you guys so tense? Hearing the yellow shirt boy, he saw Weisuo, who was obviously understated a lot. Xuanhuan gave him a white look and he was coldly stunned by a surging sound. Then you will learn Weisuo also deliberately took a surging sound. Look at how hot people are wearing, look at yourself, Tula. I bother. You are only earth. Just between the mouth of Xuanhuan and Weisuo, the combination of the eye-catching beauty and the beast has come to the yellow light curtain in front of the main entrance of the spiritual treasure house. In the face of the 2 white flowers of the great treasure legs, the people of the spiritual treasure house seem to have been eccentric, and now there are 2 spiritual treasures in the cyan jewels. The disciples, greet them. Welcome Xuanhuan. And that watermark cyan ox is also used to it, and he has to go to the back of the spiritual treasure house. He doesn't know where to go. It seems that the 2 are also coming to the auction. After seeing that Xuanhuan's figure disappeared into the yellow light curtain, the god of the young cultivator of the yellow shirt was obviously loose. Under Zhang Fenjiao, it is the cultivator of Fallen Moon City. I don't know how to call it for Weisuo and Xuanhuan. This yellow shirt boy did not use the name of his predecessor, because he was also the cultivator of Heavenly Circuit Realm 2nd layer. At the moment, Weisuo also hides the cultivation base of 1st layer with a hidden sneak peek. In the next season, the Spirit Peak City cultivator is here to participate in the auction. Weisuo looked at the yellow shirt teenager and said a pseudonym casually. My name is Wei Yat. And let Weisuo couldn't help but roll one's eyes. Xuanhuan actually used his last name. Zhang Fenjiao, not far from the secret place, suddenly there was a green shirt cultivator, but it was far from the yellow shirt cultivator waved his hand. It seems that the young man in the yellow shirt said the real name. If you have other friends in the next place, you won't bother with the 2. Zhang Fenjiao see that person, in the eyes of the surprise look, in and Weisuo and Xuanhuan leave, but is added a sentence, look at the 2 bit seems very few to 7-star city, to 7-star city not familiar with, the auction will, there should be a lot of serious characters will come, these people in addition to just Xuanhuan, there is also a cultivator called Dong King Ai, this person is the talent wind. Spiritual root cultivator, and is here Easter and Jade Paradise young master, for the vindictive, to or try not to provoke for the wonderful. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 157. Chapter 157 Unintentional Epiphany, 2nd, Red Ticket. Red Ticket speed is getting up. Zhang Fengjiao kindly reminded the two of them that after a sentence, they greeted the friend who had greeted him. Wei Suo is of course grateful for Zhang Fengjiao's reminder. However, when Zhang Fengjiao mentioned Dong King II, Han Wei seems to be obviously unpleasant, so Wei Suo couldn't help but ask if Zhang Fengjiao left road. How, do you know this Dong King II? Am one of the pursuers of my senior sister, a self-evident guy, and Wei chilled out a surging sound. I wanted to set up shapeshift great art and my senior sister before. Later, I came up with more than one kiss. I obviously want to use force to suppress people. I deliberately inquired about this guy. It is said that this guy has a very small mind, and he likes intercourse to play conspiracy calculations. He can stand the temptation of cultivation. I think it a great treasure. Most of the time it used in conspiring to deal with others, so there is Eastern. The backing of Jade Paradise is still only the cultivation base of the heavenly circuit realm 4th layer. Such a person actually wants to hit my senior sister's idea. /P. I can't bear the temptation of culture. Heisuo also secretly smiled when he heard this. Indeed, retreat culture is extremely boring for all cultivators, like his rogue cultivator with no background. What depends on his own strength, is the painful taking cultivation that has to be desperate. If there is such a background as Dong King II, maybe Wei Suo will become greedy and the culture will go slower. After all, if you have enough ability, go to the heavenly profound continent city tour, find a few gorgeous female cultivator bubble hot springs. What is not more than the boring retreat painstaking cultivation? We like to go directly to the auction floor and wait. After a bitter smile, Wei Suo said this to Han Wei, because after all, his purpose in coming to 7-Star City was to let him go to the map of the Dragon Cliff safety factor great treasure, the less trouble he got. It is good. 2 guests, please come with me for Wei Suo's this proposal. Han Wei naturally have no opinion, and in the spirit great treasure square great treasure outside the yellow light cover, the general cultivator intercourse out of the admission jade T after the alisman, are to enter, but a see Han Wei hand on the admission jade talisman, responsible for the spirit great treasure square disciple is immediately very respectful of the line, in front for 2 people brought up the road. Lingweich Square, the venue of the auction, was divided into 3 levels. The lower level is the ordinary seat, the upper 2 floors are VIP seats, and Han Wei is the most expensive VIP seat in the upper layer. Admission to Jade Talisman. For the top VIP seats, this is what Wei Suo proposed. Because according to Wei Suo's experience, the ordinary rogue cultivator generally feels that people who spend hundreds of spiritual stones entering the best VIP seats, not the cultivation base, the amazing high-level rogue cultivator, is a person with a deep background. If it is for one when something is vying for it, the average rogue cultivator will generally have a retreat. Many of these clever rogue cultivators are unimaginable, but most of the great treasures of rogue cultivator are extremely cherished by spiritual stones, which will not waste hundreds of spiritual stones. Only after the giant treasure workshop disciple led the great treasure door, Wei Suo felt that the naked body seemed to be a slight first layer, and the true UN flow in the naked body seemed to be very uncomfortable. It was obvious that the whole spirit was great. In the area of Eurohe Treasure Workshop, there are unique restrictions added to the cultivator shapeshift great art. As soon as you enter the square of the auction venue Ling Tianj, Wei Suo suddenly has a feeling of great treasure. I saw the shapeshift great art array in the middle of the great treasure hall. There was a green jade-plated lotus platform with a naked body, and a strip made of jasper. It was also suspended in the air. It seems that the auction will arrive. After the start of the punctuality, the people at the spiritual treasure workshop will show the items on the jasper stand. In the bottom of the great treasure hall, there are thousands of white divine light screens. Once the cultivator enters it, it will never be seen outside. This is the most great treasure to ensure the privacy of each cultivator. The top VIPs set by Wei Suo and Han Wei are quite different from the great treasure hall below, but the ground is also covered with soft silver silk blankets, table and chair furniture with antique fragrance, and the window is covered. The green spirit light hood also has the effect of zooming in and putting in the vicinity of the great treasure Jasper Lotus platform. Looking out from the VIP room of Wei Suo and Han Weiwei, the Jasper Lotus terrace seems to be in front of you. Obviously, among the VIP seats, it is obvious that the items in the auction will be seen more clearly than others. As for the VIP room in the middle floor, Wei Suo is not known because there is a yellow divine light screen outside, which is different from the uppermost VIP room. Because it was still early, Wei Suo simply took the jade slip that Lu Wu gave him with the Amati divine flames, shapeshift great art, and took it. Now, what is the history of shapeshift great art? Wei Suo does not have a shapeshift great art rating. Because according to the record of shapeshift great art, the initial cultivation base is the cultivation base of Heavenly Circuit Realm 3rd layer. Since it is only after the layer base of Heavenly Circuit Realm 3rd cultivation can be reached, the shapeshift great art gate of art shapeshift great, with TR the UEUN fires a samadhi true fire, and this technique shapeshift great art's very abstruse. Wei Suo break through Heavenly Circuit Realm 3rd ASE, after the green-robed old man's hint, began to ponder this extremely useful fire attribute technique shapeshift great art, prepare some simple artifact refinement. However, these days, Wei Suo still has a part of the content without understanding. Seeing that Wei Suo was slightly frowning and thinking about it, Han Weiwei didn't bother him, but he took out a white jade slip and took it seriously. After half an hour, at the beginning of the auction, Wei Suo's eyes were reveals an ecstatic look. Perhaps instead of holding a relaxed attitude of nothing to watch, he went into the state of epiphany. In this short period of time, it turned out to be a pass, and all of this would be a shapeshift great. Among the art, even the part of green-robed old man that can't understand what it wants is all understood. What has always puzzled him and green-robed old man is that this part of shapeshift great art great treasure is about using true UN to inspire 3 true fires, condense fire shield, fire snake, and so on. Shapeshift great how art controls, but how to condense fire shields and other forms, but it is not mentioned. At this moment, he completely understood it. The part of the content that he had been unable to understand before was the most crucial control. Originally, this Samadhi Divine Flames technique is also very peculiar. It uses the same shapeshift great art door to excite 3 true fires, and then uses fire control to shape various forms. Part of what he couldn't understand before, it would be equivalent to the general outline of the Samadhi Divine Flames. Now that this part is figured out, Wei Suo can slowly try the Samadhi Divine Flames as long as he has time. After he is skilled, he can try his own artifact refinement. After fully understanding the content of this article, Shapeshift Great Art, Wei Suo also thoroughly understands why green-robed old man said that if he wants to make a high-end shapeshift great art great treasure, at least thought division realm the cultivation base above the 2/3 layers. Because it is obvious that the constant excitation of the Samadhi Divine Flames continuously consumes the true UN of the amount of great treasure, and in the case of refining flying sword, the process of melting the sword tire is no shapeshift great art pause, true UN not enough, a stop, the sword tire is solidified again, want to smelting, it will start again, and in the process of smelting sword tires, but also thought division in the sword tire decorate shapeshift great art array. This must also thought division stage can do. Like the flying sword of the first red shirt cultivator, only the rank is very low, you can use the earth fire to smelt, plus the sword control with thunderclap sword art, you don't need much shapeshift great art array on the sword, so that the red shirt cultivator can refine its flying sword against an earth fire furnace. Now Wei Suo has 2 wrecks of the flying sword on hand, plus the giant treasure knife of Lu Sanbeo mixed with essence metal, plus the singular essence metal from the wind old devil. These materials, as long as his cultivation base can reach the thought division realm 3rd layer, are estimated to be enough for him to refine a flying sword with a high rank. But what makes Weisuo most gratifying at the moment is that he has a group of green seeking silver in the blue wind mound from the horseface cultivator. Green seeking silver's melting point is not high, with Weisuo's current cultivation base, and now fully realized samadhi divine flames. As long as you accumulate some experience of artifact refinement, you can already turn green seeking silver into a shapeshift great art stick. With the shapeshift great art beads of the mind devouring bug elders, you can inspire the powerful divine consciousness. The divine consciousness of the mind devouring bug elders, Weisuo, but the naked body will arrive. According to green robed old man's estimate, this degree of divine consciousness impact, heavenly circuit realm 4/5 layer cultivator is not like Weisuo can't move like a stiff, but fainting is at least. If this thing is refining, Weisuo's hand is used to attack the weapon of the sinister, and there is another fierce Euro/P. This is it. Waiting for a while, the auction of the Spirit Great Treasure Workshop officially began. Let Weisuo's eyes shine on the golden treasure, let Xuanhuan squint Weisuo, and gnash his teeth and say, Weisuo, can you hide a little bit in front of me in the future? Don't always have such a color. The appearance of tits is that the auction of this spiritual treasure workshop will be significantly more expensive than the auction of the Golden Jade Pavilion. Going out to host the auction, and responsible for handing over the auction items, are all gorgeous female cultivators. And these female cultivators are all dressed in low-cut, reveals half a snow-white but white crispy fishtail robes. It is very exciting. The female cultivator wearing the black fishtail robes is not particularly special, but the size of the chest is amazing. It seems to be more precious than Jia, a cleavage. To die, you have to live. By the way, when I think of Jia, I think that the size of Shui Ling should not be lost to Jia. Weisuo suddenly couldn't help but ask Xuanhuan, you said you are senior sister and Shui Ling which is more beautiful? Shui Ling I have never seen, Reverend. How do I know? Xuanhuan answered the sentence with no anger. Xuanhuan, looking at the wretched smile, couldn't help but cry, Weisuo, what the hell are you doing? Nothing, Weisuo, he smile, I used to catch Shui Ling for the goal of culture. I want to be beautiful. If your senior sister is more beautiful than Shui Ling then I can change it to catch up with your senior sister for the purpose of culture. /P. Haha, as soon as Weisuo said it, Xuanhuan laughed, haha. I want to chase my senior sister by your side. Why, how about my appearance? Weisuo is very arrogant. Catch my senior sister is not expected, but see, you are my brother's share. I can consider helping you chase Shui Ling Wei snorted. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 158. Chapter 158 Crazy Bidding. The rule of this auction is that the price increase must not be less than 200 products of spiritual stones. The great treasure purchased must be paid immediately with spiritual stones. The first great treasure of this auction is an offensive shapeshift great art great treasure by spirit rank. It is a great treasure of the earth treasure. The 7th grade artificer was refining in the early years. The reserve price is 3,000. The following product is spiritual stones. After explaining the rules of the auction, the first great treasure was sent. Suspended on the Jasper Lotus platform in the middle of the great treasure hall, it is obvious that there is also a special shapeshift great art array. The hosted great treasure chest cultivator speaks softly, and the surging sound does not seem to be great treasure, but it is incomparably clear and introduced into everyone's eyes. And the first thing in the opening game immediately made the cultivator spirit of the audience alive. A real spirit rank shapeshift great art great treasure. I saw the fire cloud in the hands of the great treasure chest cultivator. It is about 5 feet long and about 2 feet wide. The naked body is red, and there is a golden line on the edge, but there is a strip of rune on the top. The formation of a group of red clouds like patterns, a substantial stream of fire and air, is not a product. The real spirit rank shapeshift great art great treasure is very rare. The heavenly circuit realm 5th layer that Wei Suo encountered before, and even the master of thought division realm, is only 1 or 2 pieces. And after the cultivation base of the thought division realm, it is possible to display 2 shapeshift great art great treasures at the same time, so this level of shapeshift great art great treasure will definitely cause the cultivator to compete. 4,000 down spiral stones. Sure enough, the voice of the great treasure chest cultivator fell, and among the middle level VIP seats, someone immediately bid, and the price is plus 1,000 products of spiritual stones. For this shapeshift great art great treasure, Wei Suo is not too interested in great treasure. First, because the true spirit class on his hand attacked the shapeshift great art. If you even counted the Yuan's violent Yin demon blade, there are 6 pieces in total, and there is also the power from old demon Qin. Far exceeds general spirit rank the 6 Yang divine fire pitchfork from shapeshift great art great treasure. With the thickness of his shapeshift great art great treasure, even the elite disciple, which is mainly cultivated by the great sect like the Thunder Firmament sect and the Spirit Beast Palace, is simply not available. Like the Heaven's First sect elite disciple in the Earth Fire Cave in the Sky Valley, it seems that there is only one spirit scale great shape great art treasure in the spirit rank of a naked body. In addition, the fire cloud escape he has now can be used to ignite a fire cloud. As his cultivation base increases, the fire cloud powerful energy will continue to improve. The cultivation of the heavenly circuit realm 5th layer will continue. Base, it is estimated that it has surpassed the power of this fire spirit. So for this first real spiritual treasure, Wei Suo was originally just a watchful attitude, to see how much value can be sold in such a level. But upon hearing the surging sound of the first cultivator that was surging sound, Wei Suo's brow jumped. This surging sound is very familiar, and it seems to be Li Honglin's surging sound. 4,500 spintal stones. At this time, in a VIP room not far from the Wei Suo position, there was a more competitive bidding sound. 5,000 downs of spiritual stones. The surging sound in the middle VIP room rang again. This time, listening to this surging sound, Wei Suo couldn't help but scream. What? Han Wei was very puzzled and asked Wei Suo. Wei Suo looked at Han Wei. If I didn't get it wrong, this guy should be Li Honglin. Han Wei is also a bit dumbfounded if Nangang Yuking is also with Li Honglin this time. Isn't this going to break the Iron Shoe's innocent secret place, and it takes no effort? 5,500 products of spiritual stones. A magnificent surging sound has also joined the competition for this spiritual treasure. 6,500 down products spiritual stones. The surging sound of the middle-level VIP room was passed down again. This time, Wei Suo is basically certain. Li Honglin is definitely no doubt, and he seems to have added a must-have for this spiritual treasure. The 1,000 products of spiritual stones, now the only one without shapeshift great art, is that Nangang Yuking is not in the VIP box. 7,000 downs of spiritual stones. The cultivator with a relatively low voice added 500 products of spiritual stones. 7,005. 8,500 below spiritual stones. With the constant bidding of several cultivators, the price of this first great treasure has climbed all the way, almost instantly surpassing 10,000 downscale spiritual stones. 1,000 2,000 downs of spiritual stones. This time Li Honglin's spiritual stones seemed to be very plentiful. After the price was finally reported, no one would raise the price again. This first spiritual treasure was actually bought by Li Honglin. In the meantime, Wei Suo just listened to the surging sound, his eyes flashed, and he didn't know what he was thinking. The second thing in this auction is the spirit protecting ancient talisman, which allows the cultivator below the golden core stage to deliver more than 3 miles in a day. The reserve price is 2,500. The product is spiritual stones. But immediately after the second auction item, Wei Suo's face also appeared a moving look. Spirit protecting ancient talisman. The cultivator transmits a shapeshift great art array, which is somewhat uncomfortable. The small-sized shapeshift great art array, which is hundreds of miles long, can withstand almost any cultivator. However, after more than 10 consecutive transmissions, the body of the low-grade cultivator and the divine consciousness will reach the limit. Like Weisuo, if the medium transmission shapeshift great art array reaches 1,000 miles, it will be dizzy and disgusting. Therefore, the general cultivator below the thought division stage, the road that passes the shapeshift great art in a day can only be around 1,000 miles. If you transmit a shapeshift great art array with a great treasure that can travel thousands of miles, you only have to take a day off to get it. But Ancient has a sect called the True Shenzone, but has developed a great treasure character, is the most great treasure degree of protection cultivator divine consciousness in the transmission process is not subject to shapeshift great the impact of the dramatic spiritual chi of the art array, as long as the great treasure character is stimulated at the time of transmission, and at least one day the low-grade cultivator can be used for 3 long-distance transfer great tree sure type. Shapeshift great art array. This great treasure character is the second item in the current auction, which is extremely useful for the cultivator to travel long distances. Otherwise, if there is an urgent need to go from one end of heavenly profound continent to somewhere else, and only use the great treasure type to transmit the shapeshift great art array once a day, it will take at least a month or 2. This kind of ancient talisman has a small amount of existence, and in the future it will definitely be sent to use secret place. Weisuo has a quick calculation. If the final price does not exceed 10,000 downscale spiritual stones, then he will use this piece. Things are bought. 3,000 down spiral stones. 4,000 down spiral stones. 10,000 1,000 products for spiritual stones. 1,000 and 3,000 products of spiritual stones. But Weisuo was so depressed that he swallowed. Like the first fire coffin, this piece of spirit-protecting ancient talisman, which must have been sent with a secret place, broke through Weisuo's psychological price almost instantly. This spirit-protecting ancient talisman, in the end, is 1,000 times more expensive than Firebird, and it is somewhat lazy to be heard by a surging sound in the upper VIP room. It doesn't care about the general female cultivator. Silver shapeshift great art ring. Xiangjing. Millennium. This great treasure auction of the Great Treasure Workshop is indeed an extraordinary shot. Among the next few things, there is a real spirit rank shapeshift great art great treasure. This shapeshift great art great treasure also makes Weisuo very heartfelt, because this shapeshift great art great treasure is a small weight type shapeshift great art great treasure. Once it is displayed, it will become great treasure, then the weight is amazing and it is pressing down on the other side. If you can't avoid it, and there is no spirit light class shapeshift great art great treasure above spirit rank, even if there is spirit scales shield shapeshift great art, it will be pressed hard underneath, and it is definitely not pressed into a meatloaf. The problem is. However, the price of this thing suddenly made Weisuo a bit stunned. When it was finally bought by a cold surging sound in the Great Treasure Hall, the price of intercourse was actually 20,000 down the price of spiritual stones. The next lot is a detailed map of 2 heavens domes, which are drawn in the next 6 months and should be very accurate, one as far as White Cow Wastelands and one far away from the northern Fulling. The 2 maps are sold together at a price of 3,000 under the spiritual stones. After these few things, the great treasure chest cultivator took out the lot, but Weisuo almost couldn't help but stand up. I finally waited for his goal, and the map of the Broken Dragon Cliff was included in the map to the northern Fulling. Han Weiwei, you can help me buy this thing, but Weisuo calmed down and said to Han Weiwei. Alright, the girls are also mostly shopaholics. She looked at this good thing and she was already itch. But this time she didn't have much spiritual stones on her body, and she didn't buy shapeshift great art. Now when we heard Weisuo say this, Han Weiwei was very excited and agreed. 4,000 down spiral stones. 4,500 down spiral stones. 5,000 products of spiritual stones. What made Wei Suo breathe a sigh of relief was that he had already said a word to Han Weiwei, and the two maps had already been bid 3 times, and the price immediately went to 5,000 spintal stones. 6,000 downs of spiritual stones. At this time, Han Weiwei shouted out the surging sound. It's a bad boy. Wei Suo suddenly felt very sad. This shouting price will not be 500 shouting, but actually added 1,000. 7,000 downs of spiritual stones. But at this time, the surging sound of another female cultivator was transmitted from another VIP room in the upper layer. This surging sound sounded a bit lazy. Female cultivator, and it was the first time to buy spirit protecting ancient talisman. That female cultivator. 8,000 downs of spiritual stones. Just when Han Weiwei wanted to bid, a light male cultivator surging sound was passed from a VIP room opposite Wei Suo and joined the competition. Seeing Wei Suo's gesture, Han Weiwei immediately added another price, 9,000 downs of spiritual stones. 5,000 downs of spiritual stones. But to let all the cultivators present, the surging sound is a lazy female cultivator, but it is a chucking sound, and reported an amazing price. This price makes both Han Weiwei and Wei Suo stunned. It's not that the price does not have shapeshift great art to let the two bear, but this kind of price increase is too far off the mark. At this time, when the whole game was a stagnation, the female cultivator's lazy surging sound was passed down again. Why, Dong King I, do you really want these two maps? Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 159. Chapter 159. 5-Color Stone. Dong King I. Young Master of Eastern Jade Paradise. Wei Suo's eyes flashed in amazement, and he heard the little male cultivator surging sound in the VIP room opposite. He chuckled, for these two maps, it is really interesting. Since this is the case, I can buy these two maps with 70,000 copies of spiritual stones. Just listening to the female cultivator is still a little lazy, the water wave said. How much can you get out? Logically speaking, this female cultivator's words at the moment are indeed inconsistent with the rules of the auction, but the entire auction venue, but no one out of the surging sound question, but they are all a surging sound. 70,000 downsells of spiritual stones. Buying two maps with 70,000 copies of spiritual stones, the price is too terrifying. So many spiritual stones are enough to buy 4 to 5 spirit rank shapeshift great art great treasures. The great treasure of the great treasure square is just waiting for a smile. It seems that this lust scene is also strange. But Wei Suo's face suddenly became ugly. Obviously this is not just a question of the value of the two maps themselves, but the female cultivator and the male cultivator itself have some enmity, which is deliberately arrogant and wants to compete with each other. Oh, good talent treasures talent in the entire auction venue, the male cultivator in the opposite lounge, laughed, but these two maps, I can get up to 90,000 downscale spiritual stones. 90,000 downgrades of spiritual stones. The entire auction venue was awkward, and even many female cultivators in the white mask of the Great Treasure Hall, in addition to the shock, not only appeared in the eyes of admiration. It is so amazing to be able to buy two maps with 90,000 copies of spiritual stones. Many of the female cultivators that I didn't know about Dong King I immediately remembered the name Dong King I. Mandarin Chinese profanity #vagina. But at this time, Wei Suo was so angry that his face was green. 90,000 downscale spiritual stones, to Dong King I's current cultivation base, to earn, under normal lust conditions, do not know how much time. It is clear that relying on Eastern Jade Paradise, spiritual stones, which was made by someone else's disciple, is forced to work here. The key is to grab what Wei Suo wants. Well, as long as you have 90,000 copies of spiritual stones, I will give you these two maps at this time. I only heard that the female cultivator had no nonsense. Otherwise, you should not rob me. 90,000 downcells of spiritual stones. Dong King I said, the two maps, I have 90,000 downscale spiritual stones. What to do? Do you want to increase the price? Han Wei was also looked angry and turned to look at Wei Suo. When she first bought something, she was so raised, and this person is Dong King I she hates. Wei Suo bit his teeth and shook his head firmly and said, no. The price of 90,000 downscale spiritual stones is too exaggerated. If at this point he has determined that the dragon cliff will have golden spotted ginseng and blood dragon, then he must make a spell, but the key is whether there will be unknown. And this time you can't get these two maps, you can still set up shapeshift great art for the next time. Now the price is not enough for him. Only the ducts to the mouth were taken away from the mouth, and his heart was of course depressed to the extreme. The two maps won't be available, and then you can only see if there are any other things that are useful to him in this auction, or even hundreds of copies of the VIP room costs of spiritual stones are wasted. Ironwood sword. Flying in the sky. In a stunning surging sound, the person at the spiritual treasure workshop sent the two maps to the VIP room opposite Wei Suo and the auction continued. The next few things, for Wei Suo, are not too great for the use of secret place, but Li Honglin is once again shot, taking a picture of a yellow mist, hiding the figure, and itself yellow cloud has a semi-spirit rank defense and can erode the yellow cloud shapeshift great art ring of the operational shapeshift great art. The next lot is a 5-color stone with a base price of 5,000 down the spiritual stones. 5-color stone. This auction, there actually appeared in the 5-color stone. I saw the great treasure chest on the Jasper Lotus platform. The giant treasure of the colorful treasures. The original Wei Suo, which had been sitting on the gloomy face, was involuntarily issued a surging sound. Why? What is the use of this 5-color stone? Han Wei suddenly looked at Wei Suo, who was very violent, and this colorful glowing spiritual stones, she never heard of it. This is a spiritual stones that can be used to reshape the body. Some cultivators with body possession will be desperately searching for such spiritual stones once life essence is exhausted. There is no shapeshift great art to break through the cultivation base. Use this spiritual stone's body possession to regenerate. Wei Suo explains, almost all body possession reborn, great treasure. Most cultivation base is put into the water, almost from the beginning of the cultivation. However, this spiritual stones can mention the fit of the tall cultivator to the body that it finds itself, allowing the cultivator to retain the great treasure part of the cultivation base while reducing many of the negative factors after taking the flesh. After all, after some cultivator body possession, the fusion with the flesh is not good, and life essence will be exhausted quickly. It turned out to be such a thing. Han Wei frowned, apparently she was very repulsive to the body possession, which was a naked body. Why, Wei Suo, are you interested in this kind of thing? Wei Suo hesitated a little. In fact, what really interests him about this spiritual stones is that this spiritual stones is one of the must-have things that green-robed old man has said to help him shape. As the Wei Suo cultivation base continues to improve, the green-robed old man's coagulation has already been prepared. Because the life essence of green-robed old man is now left for many years. These condensed materials, although great for the cultivator, are not as useful as amethyst fox rose, but they are also very rare. Like this 5-color stone, it is extremely rare. Green-robed old man, he only knows that there is a piece of spiritual stones in the cloud spirit continent northern part that has a golden body shapeshift great art. After checking the current classics, I determined that the golden body shapeshift great art is still the great treasure of the Taoist teaching of Tianzu. The original plan of green-robed old man is that it can't be found from the secret place. After Wei Suo broke through to Golden Core realm, set shapeshift great art to get away from that section, I did not expect this kind of auction to appear like this. Tianzu teaches that the Golden Core cultivator of Golden Core stage seems to have appeared decades ago. It is also very dangerous to win. I have a friend who needs this kind of thing. you can help me shoot. After hesitating, Wei Suo decided to buy it, so I bought it first. Well, Han Wei nodded and asked nothing. At the moment, the outcry price has reached 3,000 spiritual stones. 1,000 and 4,000 products of spiritual stones. 15,000 downscale spiritual stones. And the cultivator at the moment is still in a constant stream. It seems that although many cultivators reject the shapeshift great art of the body possession, there are also many cultivators, but it will also be regarded as a rare means of life-saving. After all, for these cultivators, even if there is not much left in the cultivation base, but with complete consciousness and memory, as long as the body life of the body possession is normal, it is already ready to be revived once. 2,000 downs of spiritual stones. At this time, let Wei Suo brow, Li Honglin's surging sound actually came out again. 2,003,000 products under the spiritual stones in the upper VIP room. A sharp male surging sound is also added with 3,000 products of spiritual stones. 5,000 products of spiritual stones. Li Honglin has a feeling of incompetence. Han Wei didn't call the price for a while, just waiting. 8,000 products of spiritual stones. 3,000 downs of spiritual stones. 35,000 down spearing spirit stones. 40,000, with the price of Li Honglin's 40,000 story spiritual stones shouting out, the audience was slightly silent, and the pointed male surging sound seemed to sneer a little. No further fare increase. Han Wei glanced at Wei Suo and saw Wei Suo nodded affirmatively. At the time when the great treasure chest cultivator was ready to speak, Han Wei coldly called, 40,000 down spearing spiritual stones. Oh! At this time, in the VIP room of Dong King II, there was a surging sound and a surging sound. It seems that there is some surprise that Han Wei's talent is so great treasure. 4,050 products of spiritual stones. Li Honglin once again reported a high price. 46,000 of the following spiritual stones. Han Wei once again coldly added 1,000 spiritual stones. After all, Han Wei was not the heart of spiritual stones, and this time it was Wei Suo's spiritual stones. This is obviously the pressure to press the other side. Li Honglin was obviously stagnation, but he did not dare. Followed again. 50,000 downsells of spiritual stones, but at this time, Han Wei couldn't help but learn Wei Suo screaming a surging sound, "Screw your sister." In the opposite VIP room, Dong King I's surging sound was heard. Wei Suo's face was a bit ugly. Sure enough, the voice of Dong King I just fell, and the surging sound of the female cultivator rang directly, 70,000 downscale spiritual stones. Oh, if that's the case, then this spiritual stones will be given to you. The spiritual stones on Dong King I seemed to be inadequate, laughed, and said to the female cultivator, "Do you want to?" Han Wei couldn't help but turn to look at Wei Suo and asked. After all, she knows how many spiritual stones are on Wei Suo, and this price makes her feel very expensive. Need no more than 120,000, I bought it. Wei Suo is really depressed, and everything that I see is full of people. If you come to a sneak peek, you can't buy anything, you can't buy anything, you must be more depressed. And Wei Suo felt that if he had put together this 5-color stone, green-robed old man would definitely be moved by tears, and maybe he would work harder to come up with something secret place. What friends does he have in addition to Nangong Yuking? Li Honglin also bought this 5-color stone. This 5-color stone should not be the one wanted by Nangong Yuking. Is he going to buy this for Nangong Yuking? Wei Suo thought so in his mind, but Han Wei's head was in the head, but he couldn't help but think. After some contemptuous swearing, considering that he said that this guy is his brother, Han Wei is still not angry with the great treasure surging sound. 1,000 down spearing spirit stones. After the surging sound was shouted, there was no one to raise the price. This 5-color stone was bought by Wei Suo at the price of 70,000 downscale spiritual stones. Let's go. After paying spiritual stones and putting the 5-color stone into the treasure receiving pocket, Wei Suo stood up and said to Han Weiwei. This is afraid that Li Honglin will go ahead of time. If Nangong Yuking is with him, he will miss it. Would you like to go outside and wait? Han Weiwei was depressed and gave a look at Wei Suo. This time, Wei Suo's thought, she was guessed by the great treasure half. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 160. Seven-Star City is the second largest city in the tens of thousands of miles from the southernmost part of Tianqian continent. It is about twice as large as the nearest Moon City and Lingyu City. The largest city at the southernmost end of the Tianqian continent is Tianji City, which is located almost diagonally to the Lingyu City. It is farthest from the Lingyu City and is about 4 times the size of the Lingyu City. Because the Seven-Star City is built on the middle of the 7 hills, and only in the city, the flying escape is restricted, so you can often see the glory of the outside of the city flashing, and the monks fly each of them to one of the hills. Fell outside the city, and then entered the Seven-Star City. This scene looks much more lively than Lingyu City. In addition, the number of monks who settled in the Seven-Star City is more than double that of the Lingyu City, so the teleportation circle around the Seven-Star City is also very busy. With the flashes of the Lingguang, the monks entering and leaving the Seven-Star City are endless. Among them, the monks who cultivated above Zhou Tianjing and the disciples of Zhuxingzong who were responsible for guarding the magic circle were all used to it. Just 1 minute after Wei Suo was interrupted by Zhu Xiaokun and went out to find Han Weiwei, Han Weiwei saw Nangong Yuking and Li Honglin together in the Seven-Star City for more than 20 years, on the southernmost side of the Seven-Star City in a teleportation array on the top of the hill. With the flash of aura, a man and a woman and 2 monks stepped out. The 2 monks were very young. The women wore silver vests, which were very protruding and very charming. The men were not particularly eye-catching. They wore an ordinary blue cloth, which only made 2 guards. The disciples of Zhuxingzong were a little surprised that this female and male practitioners seemed to have a light and aura that ordinary monks did not have. The charming female cultivator is okay, but the male cultivator in ordinary Tsingyi, after walking out of the circle, looks like a complete countryman entering the city. This seemingly disgraceful young man was naturally Wei Suo, who had always been unable to pay the cost of teleportation because of insufficient spirits. Except for Lingyu City, he had never been to any other monk city at all. Now when he stepped out of the circle, he suddenly saw the Seven-Star City with extraordinary momentum and twice the size of Lingyu City. Of course, he couldn't help it. Open your eyes wide and look around forever. Wei Suo naturally saw the Zhuxingzong mountain gate on the most central mountain and the green gate of Dongjao Resort in the southern valley. He remembered it very well. At that time, the old gentlemen in Midian Valley worked together to figure out what was wrong with the old man Mo and the mother-in-law, but it was also the elder character of Zhuxingzong. Now looking at this silver-filled palace with immortal air, it looks like what the outside world says, Zhuxingzong's strength is indeed more tyrannical than Tianyimen. The streets of the entire Seven-Star City also look cleaner than Lingyu City and have a higher grade. Basically, the relatively large streets are enough for 3 or 4 cars to walk side by side, and they are all covered with white marble, and some patterns are carved on them. But what surprised him most was that there were many layers of light curtains outside the shops in the Seven-Star City. Obviously, all kinds of prohibitions were also arranged. Among them, there is a green light on the light curtain, which is still shining with 3 characters condensed by the aura, Qiang Pavilion. This method of using the aura to condense its own sign during the ban is also very magical. Wei Suo, who first met him, was also very envious. Standing at the corner of the street outside the teleportation array and stopping to look around the Seven-Star City for a long time, Wei Suo followed Han Weiwei and walked across a white stone arch bridge spanning 2 hills with a length of thousands of feet. Walked towards a fangshi shrouded in yellow light. When we walked through the yellow mask, we could see that there was a very magnificent inside, with 5 or 6 entering the palace, like a big temple. The corner of Wei Suo's mouth appeared unconsciously. There was a bit of a wry smile. From the breakthrough of Zhu Xiaokun to the start of Zhou Tianjing, the accidents in the past 20 days are indeed a bit more for Wei Suo. After I went out to find Han Wei was absent, he had just stepped into his heavenly residence. As a result, Zhen Chongming in the Simple Brain duo greeted him with a sneering face and asked him if he had a ground stove in his heavenly residence. Room, can you borrow a floor furnace room for him? Now Wei Suo was a little surprised, and asked Zhen Chongming what was the use of the furnace room. As a result, Zhen Chongming scratched his head and said that he finally prepared some materials for refining Lingyang pill. According to his plan, after refining this batch of Lingyang pill, after refining, he should be able to break through Zhou Tianjing. Repair. Weiss was naturally more surprised when he heard it. Lingyang pill is also a kind of golden pill made from the monster pill of the third-level monster. It has the same amount of aura as the golden pill. The biggest difference is that the demon pill used by Lingyang pill is among the third-level monster beast demon pill, which has no climate and the worst quality. To put it simply, this Lingyang pill is equivalent to the use of waste. It is a kind of panacea that uses some demon pill that is too bad and cannot be used. Because the price of the main material is not high, the price of a refining material of Lingyang pill equal to that of Jinling Dan adds up to about 60 inferior spirit stones. The market price is to require 110 inferior spirit stones. It stands to reason that this panacea should be far more popular than Jinlingdan, at least it will seize a large part of the mainstream status of Jinlingdan. But in fact, this medicine is very rare in the market. The reason for this is not because the poor quality Tsadan is not enough, but because it is necessary to supplement the Tsadan's medicine. Lingyang Dan uses many more auxiliary materials than Jinlingdan. Although the value is also not high, the refining process is very cumbersome. Most alchemists do not like to make this kind of medicine, even if it is made, because of the long consumption time and high waste pill rate. The price of Lingyang pill is cheaper than Jinling pill when it is sold. Not much, the monk might as well buy Jinlingdan directly. Of course, some people get the low-level loose cultivation of Lingyang Dandan, and they will also refine Lingyang Dan by themselves. After all, using Lingyang Dan to practice can save many spirit stones, and quite a few inferior spirit stones can reach 80 inferior spirit stones. The above cultivation effect only takes some alchemy time. For Weizhuo's previous level ground repair, time is not a problem. The key is not to earn a spirit stone. If you can save a spirit stone, you must find a way to save one. However, because of the complex refining, according to some monks of the Tianqian continent, the level of the alchemist of the entire Tianqian continent is divided into 9 grades from high to low. Only the alchemist of the 3rd grade or higher can refine the Lingyang pill with a low probability of abolishing the pill. Jia, who can refining the prefecture level elixir of Hexudan, is already in the eyes of the priests of the Lingyu city an incredible alchemist of more than 6 grades. But Jia, who almost monopolizes the supply of the elixir of Lingyu city, is only the 6th grade. Wei Suo thinks that the guy with less brain roots in Zhen Chongming can achieve the 3rd grade, which is really too ridiculous, because Wei Suo it is estimated that I have made so many potions such as Buishan Dan and Pei Yi, and almost 2 products are facing up, less than 3 products. So at that time Wei Suo said to Zhen Chongming in disbelief, "Are you kidding me, did you get Lingyang pill?" But what made him feel even more unbelievable is that Zhen Chongming actually nodded with certainty, saying yes, he had trained several before. From the 4-fold cultivation of Shanghai realm to the 5-fold of Shanghai realm, he just relied on Lingyang Dan broke through. This time Wei Suo suddenly couldn't help but quickly cleaned up, and then let this 4-legged, simple-minded guy enter his ground stove. What makes him unbelievable is that Zhen Chongming, who has developed limbs and a simple mind, even under the eyes of Wei Suo, succeeded in practicing 3 Lingyang pills. 3 consecutive successes, which can't be explained by luck at all. There are only 2 explanations. One is either Zhen Kongming's numerous refining ling-yang pills, which is extremely proficient, and the other one is with Weizhuo on the refining symbol. Like talent, Zhen Chongming has a very high talent in alchemy. And monks like Zhen Chongming, of course, have never been able to practice many ling-yang pills before. Hearing to Weizhuo himself, he had refined dozens of ling-yang pills before. If it weren't for the first time, the success rate would reach more than 80%. Refining ling-yang pill must only make no profit, and he would never choose to refining ling-yang pill. This guy with a simple brain is not stupid as a fortune teller. And it has a very good alchemy talent. This not only made Weizhuo speechless, but also made the old man in green robe completely speechless. And then, Han Weiwei brought him an accident. She actually said that she saw Nangong Yuking and Li Honglin talking and laughing together in Qixing City. That time Han Weiwei suddenly traced a monk to the 7-star city because of the sudden appearance of the panacea named Hui Zhendan. Because just in those few days, this kind of panacea suddenly appeared in Lingyu City, which could make the monks quickly regain some real medicine. But the price of this kind of Huiden is 10% lower than that of Zhenbaoj. This has a great impact on Jumbo Pavilion. That Ri Han Weiwei was just above the loose repair market outside Lingyu City, saw that the monk shot 500 pieces back to Zhendan, and then secretly followed the monk all the way to the 7-star city, wanting to track down some clues. But I did not expect to see Nangong Yuking and Li Honglin. This news made Weizhuo also feel unbelievable, because he knew very well that Nangong Yuking had always hated Li Honglin, the second master. After careful calculation in his heart, and after carefully summing up with the old man in the green robe, Weizhuo tried to make Zhen Chongming refine Bulletin Tiandan. As a result, he was hit hard. Under his guidance, Zhen Chongming only refined a few, and the success rate has exceeded 60%. It may be that the brain is simple, and there is no unnecessary idea. In alchemy, he was more focused than the ordinary monks. As for other talent reasons, Weizhuo could not find it. The next time, Weizhuo Xuoxian gave Zhen Chongming some extra Jin Lingdan, let Zhen Chongming break through Zhou Tianjing's heavy cultivation. After that, Weizhuo asked Zhen Chongming to make Bulletin Tiandan for him. Because the rest of the liquid medicine is prepared by Weizhuo, it is impossible for Zhen Chongming to know the prescription of Bulletin Tiandan besides the green beetle demon pill. After a few days of observation, Zhen Chongming, who was extremely grateful to Weizhuo for giving him Jin Lingdan, also had no extra ideas at all. He wholeheartedly helped Weizhuo to make alchemy, and he could make many Tiandan out of the day. However, Weizhuo still had some concerns about it. In addition to telling Zhen Chongming that Bulletin Tiandan is a panacea specially used in conjunction with his exercises, other monks would have extremely adverse side effects after taking it. Collect the waste pill, so that according to the number of blue beetle demon pill purchased by Zhu Xiaokun, and the number of forged pill and waste pill, you can know whether Zhen Chongming has eaten one or two. In this way, even if he didn't retreat, some people helped himself to make up Tiandan, and Weizhuo went out to prepare to see Nangong Yuking to see what was going on. But obviously Han Weiwei has helped Weizhuo to hear the specific whereabouts of Nangong Yuking. Nangong Yuking all returned to Lingyu City, but when he hurried over, Nangong Yuking had already left. In these 20 days, I have never seen Nangong Yuking. So Weizhuo, who was extremely depressed, only had to wait for the news of Nangong Yuking while preparing for the things he needed to practice next. As for Jia, Weizhuo had not yet had time to consider how to deal with it, and second, because Jia was also studying what remedies to retreat, so the meeting was temporarily delayed. Today, the reason why he has set foot in this 7-star city that he has never been to is because he received a message from Murongchen, the owner of Judingzai, that there is a large auction in Lingbaofang in 7-star city. There are several complete map auctions outside the Sky Dome, among which is a map of the Broken Dragon Cliff area requested by Wei. The next goal of Weisuo is the golden spot ginseng that may exist in the broken dragon cliff. After all, if you continue to practice, it is a matter of time before you can face the point of breaking through the division of thoughts, and the breakthrough from Zhou Tianjing to the division of thoughts is also a major level for monks to face. Only when this elixir is obtained, it will be safe enough to break through the split mind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 161. Chapter 161 Iron Blood Hall. What is this lust condition? This Han Wei and the onlookers of the cultivator are all stunned. Nangong Yuking, what do you mean by this? Li Honglan did not respond at all, and stayed. What else can you mean? So obvious. The passing cultivator that was previously taken by Li Honglan patted him on the shoulder with lust. Obviously she chose him and he didn't choose you. What? Li Honglan's face suddenly became blue. Nangong Yuking, do you really want to go with this kid? Sorry, I may have misunderstood him before. Nangong Yuking apologized. I have something to talk about with him. He had previously had a secret place for the crime of gaining money for you. You should not know him in general. Wow, ha ha ha. Looking at Nangong Yuking, Weisuo can be said to be happy. In the eyes of the public, this is two-face saving, and Nangong Yuking said that when a high hat was worn, Li Honglan wanted to attack and did not have shapeshift great art. Sure enough, Li Honglan's face was blue and red, but he couldn't say anything for a while. Nangong Yuking, what the hell is going on at this time? Han Wei looked at Nangong Yuking, who was coming to Weisuo, but said that he was not angry. Just like Weisuo, it seems to be ice white, but even a pair of me and you will not make a river in the future, but now it seems that suddenly spring blossoms, you can go to see the moon together. This turn is really too great. Treasure is a bit. Nangong Yuking, what the hell is going on? Are you afraid that I can't beat that guy? And Weisuo looked at Nangong Yuking, who came over and asked. You know it, you know that people are amazing, but you have to fight with people. Nangong Yuking light surging sound. Blame, you guy, this time to make trouble, this time it is really bad for you, I will tell you later. Our young master gas treasure is not accounting, but I don't have shapeshift great art to endure this person's arrogance. Nangong Yuking's demeanor and said words let Han Wei one leng, but at this time, the flat-faced middle-aged cultivator, but is a sneer at it, and in the next words will not like some people fart generally, is definitely effective. This person has been with me about war, if I don't teach him a lesson today, I will never let him leave this 7-star city. Don't let him leave 7-star city. So great treasure. At this time, a light surging sound came. Why, is this 7-star city under your jurisdiction? Flat-face cultivator great treasure angry, murderous intention in the eyes flashed, suddenly turned his head. I saw a young cultivator in a golden shirt. The more ridiculous, the cultivator is a style that I can't avoid. The golden shapeshift great art of the young cultivator is made of a material that exudes a thick gold astral chi, while the cuffs and collar are still on the sleeves, and some green rune are decorated. It seems that rank is extraordinary. And this young cultivator dashing eyebrows star, looks very romantic, from the perspective of the body, at first glance is the family of the great treasure background. It's young master Dong King Ai from Eastern Jade Paradise. He just spent so many spiritual stones who bought 2 maps for Dong King Ai. The whispering surging sound from the crowd of cultivators also immediately revealed the identity of the person. As soon as I saw the identity of this person, the flat-face cultivator suddenly stagnate, a god lust with some daring and dare not speak. At 7-star city, even star convening sect, only the cultivator is expelled from this place. If you don't let someone leave, no one is qualified. The flat-face cultivator didn't talk for a while, and Dong King Ai said that. The face of the flat-face cultivator has changed a lot, saying, there is some sin in the bottom, but My words haven't finished yet. Dong King I saw this flat face cultivator, and some did not interrupt his words to lust. Wei Suo is a bit worried at this time. This Dong King I is a dog-like dog. It is notorious. How can you do good things now and help yourself? Is it that the second ancestors could not see other ancestors in their own territory? If the dog bites the dog, isn't that more interesting? However, his heart just flashed the thought of such a thrilling disaster, but he heard Dong King I's stunned surging sound. 7-star city has no restrictions on the cultivator's qualification to leave the city, but this is not a question things, I am the most incomprehensible in my life. Dong King I when this language came out, Nangong Yuking's face suddenly changed. Screw your sister. Wei Suo also suddenly rolled one's eyes, which is what makes good people and good things, clearly is to deliberately pick things up. As soon as I heard Dong King I say, the original face cultivator, which was extremely ugly, suddenly overscores the great treasure and said, it's all about Dong young master. This brother, I only heard about you fighting with this person. Dong King I looked at Wei Suo indifferently. You shouldn't eat. Nangong Yuking took a deep breath, just want to speak. Wei Suo is an open-faced lust, it doesn't matter if you fight shapeshift great art, but the key is that he is a golden eagle palace. I am just a rogue cultivator. In case I broke his hand, golden eagle palace came to me and it was not a matter of food. Why? Is the young master of Eastern Jade Paradise still alive? At this time, a surging sound is a little lazy surging sound. The ground creaked, but the exposed Xuanhuan came over the level 5 high level. It is her. As soon as I heard the surging sound, Wei Suo and Han Wei were stunned. It was obvious that she was the female cultivator that did the right job with Dong King I at the auction. Yes, I haven't seen anyone in the battle for a long time. I am naturally interested in this matter. Great treasure, so many people look at it, presumably the two will not sweep the great treasure home. Dong King I swept Wei Suo lightly. How, do you think you can deal with this person? Xuanhuan smiled uncontrollably, but looked at Wei Suo and asked, if you are sure, I can guarantee this. Wei Suo said, how do you guarantee shapeshift great art? In case I was counted by the Golden Eagle Palace one day, I took them to the monster beast, even my people could not find it, you can let them lose you one. Listening to Wei Suo is fun, Xuanhuan smiled and said, don't say Golden Eagle Palace, even heaven's first sect, you should not dare to count a Spirit Beast Palace inner sect disciples. Our Spirit Beast Palace is notoriously short. When you find out, it is not enough to lose one. At least 100 UN is lost. If the inner sect disciples is a good talent, if you have a promising future, you may have to raise a level. Let the other party take the elders, young master, and the like to pay. Wei Suo, Spirit Beast Palace inner sect disciples. Xuanhuan said, yes, if you want me to guarantee this, I can accept you as my Spirit Beast Palace inner sect disciples. Na Spirit Beast Palace inner sect disciples. Xuanhuan, she has the power to receive an inner sect disciples. Spirit Beast Palace is a unique act. She is the pro-discipline of the Spirit Beast Palace Palace Lord. It should have such power, otherwise it would not be possible to say so. This guy is really lucky, Spirit Beast Palace is notoriously short. If you are accepted as inner sect disciples, you will have an additional protective cover. Not many people feel it, and the Golden Eagle Palace is definitely not good. I remember that the famous rogue cultivator killed a Spirit Beast Palace inner sect disciples the year before. The result was that the rogue cultivator was not killed. Even the distant relatives of rogue cultivator and the pigs raised by distant relatives were not missed. They have all been killed. And the spiritual herb of the rogue cultivator is uprooted, and the real scribble is rooted. The kind of spicy herb is useful, of course, it has to be taken uprooted. It has nothing to do with the grass. For a time, the cultivator on the scene was in vain. And I can promise you, You can always be the identity of the Spirit Beast Palace inner sect disciples, and not under the jurisdiction of my Spirit Beast Palace. Xuanhuan added, this is just a guarantee I gave you, your daily cultivation, without any restrictions. After the meal, Xuanhuan looked at Dong Qing'ai and smiled. Dong Qing'ai, I heard that your Iron Blood Hall in 7-Star City is quite good. It seems to be comparable to the Battle Valley of our Myriad Tomb City. If they are allowed to fight there, they should bring more popularity to the War Valley. So naturally better. When I heard that Xuanhuan mentioned the Iron Blood Hall, it was always pretending that Dong Qing'ai, who had always been calm and self-confident, was slightly unsatisfied. What is Iron Blood Hall? Wei Suo couldn't help but surging sound and asked Han Wei and Nangong Yuking. Iron Blood Hall is the place dedicated to the cultivator shapeshift great art in 7-Star City. There are dozens of cultivator buckets of shapeshift great art every day. Some have a great treasure dispute in 7-Star City, a cultivator in which to fight. Some are voluntarily enrolled, and a cultivator is hired to fight shapeshift great art because of the winning side. There will be some income from spiritual stones. The cultivator that enters the market can also bet on both sides of the shapeshift great art. To win the spiritual stones, 1/10 of the fee must be paid. The Iron Blood Hall was created by Eastern Jade Paradise and is said to be the idea of Dong Qing'ai. Every day, Eastern Jade Paradise brings a lot of spiritual stones income. It's just that Iron Blood Hall was originally the Valley of the Beasts of Myriad Tomb City, and the Valley of the Beasts is said to be the idea of this Xuanhuan. So the two have been secretly confused for this matter. Nangong Yuking explains the light surging sound to Wei Suo. The original is to the casino, which is to bet on both sides of the cultivator. Wei Suo suddenly understood. This place, even he is very interested. After all, you can see the different cultivator fight shift great art, but also bet. This place of business, think of the ass, is certainly good. No wonder Xuanhuan and Dong Qing'ai are so wrong. This kind of thing is like a good idea, thinking about a way to make money, and another guy has a chance to catch up and grab the business. It seems that you are optimistic about the cultivator of this Golden Eagle Palace, but I am optimistic about this person. Xuanhuan took a look at the flat-face cultivator and Wei Suo around Li Honglan and suggested to Dong Qing'ai, in this case, do we have to add some color to help the great treasure home? Luck. Dong Qing'ai's mouth glimmered with a sneer, as long as you want to, I naturally accompany you. 70,000 spiritual stones. Xuanhuan is a lazy price. I have 70,000 spiritual stones. If he loses, 70,000 spiritual stones will be yours. To play, of course, you must have a great treasure. Dong Qing'ai took a look at Han Wei and said, if I didn't get it wrong, the 5-color stone was bought by this person. I have 100,000 spiritual stones, plus a set of fog flag, to gamble on your 70,000 spiritual stones. How about adding his 5-color stone? Ling fog array flag? Good. Xuanhuan's brow jumped abruptly and immediately agreed. Arrow flag is a set of shapeshift great art great treasure that can cover dozens of miles in the fog of the day. Moreover, the fog of this shapeshift great art great treasure, even the strong astral wind, is not blown by shapeshift great art. Although it has a unique orientation and is arranged for a long time, if it is to open a hole in the wild, it is very useful and can be used as one of Dongfu's protective shapeshift great art arrays, with a value of at least 50,000 spiritual stones. No, but at this time, Wei Suo was shaking his head. What? There was a cold light in the eyes of Xuanhuan. This color is still too little. Unless you will take the great treasure and the 2 maps that were taken at the auction. But what she didn't think of, Wei Suo didn't dare to fight shapeshift great art, but said, either I have added 50,000 spiritual stones in addition to the 5-color stone. If I win, then the 2 maps belong to me, and then what he lost to us, how about half of us? Good. How, Dong Qing'ai, a great treasure of the gods, plus 50,000 spiritual stones, should you be able to match your 2 maps? Xuanhuan immediately became angry and looked at Dong King Ai. Nice. Very good. Dong King Ai's heart is murderous intention, great treasure, but the face is still no moving, nogging sound. Color nodded. I saw a lot of book friends in the book review area, but I was very helpless. I blame me for breaking this point, but this is a serial novel. I can't say all the lust sections, I just say that I don't want to be dry. As for why Nangong Yuking, why Wei Suo is stalking and knowing unhappy, great treasure 5 surging sound, old is a bastard, it will be a bit cool, but pay attention to the details, may see something. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 162. Chapter 162 is not professional at all. Wei Suo, this time you really got into trouble with great treasure. I want you not to fight with him. What should I do? Wei Suo's sleeves were pulled again and again, but Wei Suo didn't listen to himself, but he promised it. Nangong Yuking, who has always been a great treasure, is as angry and anxious as the ants on the hot pot. He is Tianfengzi, the elder of the Golden Eagle Palace. Not only does he have a real spirit rank, but also a monster beast. He also has a monster beast. What is a monster body? I don't know, but at least rank 4. A spirit scale, great shaft, great art, great treasure? A monster beast? But what made her a little worried was that Wei Suo didn't move the surging sound color in her ear and said, reassured, wait, I promised to make him a pig, and I watched this guy last time. Not pleasing to the eye. Since the great treasure family has no objections, go to Iron Blood Hall now. Xuanhuan, who was so glamorous, nodded with satisfaction. He watched Dong King Ai smile and said, but it's good to say that they are fighting. From now on, others can't give them any shapeshift great art. Otherwise, this kind of fight is not interesting. This is nature, Dong King Ai said, as long as you don't do it yourself. Let's go. Xuanhuan no longer said anything, riding the wild beast towards the one in the 7-star city, the mountain where the Eastern Jade Paradise Gate is located on the south side. Dong King Ai coldly looked at Wei Suo and others and walked toward the hill. Li Honglin glanced at Wei Suo with a murderous look, and then immediately followed his face. Tianfengzi, this time must kill this kid, otherwise it will be difficult to eliminate my hate. I won't let him die so much, the flat face of Tianfengzi said in a sullen manner, I will let him suffer all the pain, then kill him slowly, otherwise he will dare to ride on the head of our Golden Eagle Palace. Nangong Yuking, what the hell is going on? Wei Suo, Han Weiwei and Nangong Yuking were deliberately dragged behind, and Li Honglin and Tianfengzi opened a certain distance. You should not forget the Blue Wind Mount thing. Nangong Yuking's lips are fretting. We have been checking for a long time, and it is definitely a Black Fiend cloth, but Black Fiend seems to have a very different relationship with the Golden Eagle Palace. Wei Suo frowned. Is the main ambassador behind it Golden Crown Palace? I am afraid there is another hidden lust, and Golden Eagle Palace has no special conflict of interest with us. Han Weiwei groaned, you are close to Li Honglin, just want to find out the relationship between Golden Eagle Palace and Black Fiend from him. Then why have you just? I don't want to lose weight, Nangong Yuking smiled. I have already discovered something from Li Honglin's mouth. I know that they are coming to 7-star city. This auction is just a cover-up. There should be a plot of great treasure. I didn't expect him to come at another time. He suddenly came at this time, and I said that, and I still couldn't keep going. I knew that he was not afraid of Tianfengzi, and I simply continued to put it on. Speaking of this secret place, Nangong Yuking was a little depressed and looked at Wei Suo. Although some depression, so many days of arrangements have been put into the water, but at the moment her heart is great treasure, because she knows that Wei Suo is not a general cultivator, and without special assurance, Wei Suo is not so confident. This can't blame me, Wei Suo screamed, I thought you had any important people or things in their hands, they were under their control, or they had their restrictions, so they kept calling. Call it, see if you can see what is going on. I know where they have a leg with Black Fiend. As far as your IQ is concerned, I don't know if it is normal. Han Wei glanced at Wei Suo, but couldn't help but ask, in the beginning, you can see that she is another hidden lust. Do you have this IQ and doubt my IQ? Wei Suo said disdainfully, you are nonsense, just like Li Honglan. Can Nangong Yuking still see him, looking for a 10 times stronger than him? I am not looking for it. And, Nangong Yuking, I have a little to criticize you. This summons jade talisman is not good to see, the work is rough, hanging in the hand does not match your clothes, but not with your face, but you also said that this is a good style, just hang in the hand, and you pretend to be absolutely lust the appearance of time, do not unblinkingly a blink, lips a shake, not at all professional. Look at the eyes, look down and add contempt, it is best to bring 3 points of coolness in the 7 points without lust. I am giving you a wink, I didn't expect you to see it at all. Nangong Yuking couldn't help but look at Wei Suo, but he took it seriously and lightly surging sound. Tianfeng's spirit rank is the best of shapeshift great art great treasure called Snow and Ice Scissors. It is used by rank 6 monster beast. The hunter's claws are refining, not only attacking powerful energy to reach spirit rank, but also chilling the air and suppressing the opponent's shapeshift great art artifact spirit. Is it an offensive spirit rank shapeshift great art great treasure? Wei Suo didn't move the surging sound and looked at Tianfengzi, who was walking in front of the secret place. In addition, there is nothing special about the shapeshift great art on his body. I don't know about this, Nangong Yuking said, but you have to be careful of the monster beast he has kept. For elders like him, the monster beast rank will never be too low. Wei Suo smiled and said, is it? That time, the Golden Eagle Palace may have lost a little more. Less than half an hour, a dark red temple appeared in the sight of Wei Suo and others. This great treasure hall is located in a valley behind the most lively market in a secret place on the south side of the 7-star city. Seeing that the so-called Iron Blood Hall is so close to the busiest market, Wei Suo couldn't help but think that Dong King Ai's mind is still a bit better. The more people there are, the easier it is to create a squawk and fight, just like Wei Suo took the green-robed old man to the night market, and saw 2 people almost fight for the sake of buying and selling. If they can fight far away, the 2 sides may be very noisy and may not be able to fight. It's so convenient that it's so close. In a word, well, you can go to the Iron Blood Hall to go to war. And there are a lot of people here. There are more people who have a fight and run over to see the lively people. Of course, Eastern Jade Paradise can use the treasure to fish the spiritual stones. This Iron Blood Hall, even the auction of the Greater Treasure Workshop in Billing, has a lot of great treasure, and the naked body is made of black iron, although it is just ordinary black iron, but it is also a huge giant treasure, it is very expensive. Great treasure manpower. Outside the material of the black iron, I don't know what dark red pigments have printed a lot of lines, and it looks a bit like blood in the stream. In many places, such as pillars, thresholds, and cornices, there are all kinds of ghost-faced, yasha-like sculptures. Just before the stone ramp to the secret place, not far from the door of the great treasure, Han Wei frowned. A barbaric atmosphere came from inside. In addition to the heat waves created by the numerous people's screaming surging sound, there is also a strong bloody atmosphere. I saw the front of Dong King Ai and Xi and Yalan stopped at the door of the great treasure hall. As 2 cultivators apparently wearing the Eastern Jade Paradise inner sect disciples shapeshift great art rushed in, a short, thin old man in a black leather gown quickly walked out. I don't know what Dong King Ai and the short-skinned old man said, I saw the excitement of the old man's eyes with a pair of Mung Bean great treasure. It's actually 2 heavenly circuit realm cultivator, no wonder so many people, good, go to the arrangement immediately. Dong King Ai nodded at the 2 Easter Jade Paradise's disciples at the door. Without saying anything, Li Honglan and Wei Suo and others entered the Iron Blood Hall, but the people who followed the bustle were all stopped. Obviously, if Iron Blood Hall wants to go in, it will pay a certain amount of entrance to spiritual stones. Otherwise, some cultivators don't bet on it. It is mad. It is hard to get the Eastern Jade Paradise of Iron Blood Hall. A little bit lost. Previously, because Han Wei shouted surging sound in the square on the Great Treasure, he was still a secret place man, plus Wei Suo and Tianfengzi are obviously heavenly circuit realm cultivator, followed by the lively people, at least than usual more than a few times. As soon as he walked into the Iron Blood Hall, Han Wei wrinkled his nose and almost spit it out. The inside scene is more brutal and bloody than she imagined outside. The entire Great Treasure Hall is a circular arrangement, and the middle is a platform covered by a transparent divine light screen. This circular platform is more than 100 square feet, and the ground is also thick and cast iron. Around the circular platform, there are all the upper and lower stands. Between every 5 seats in the grandstand, only the cast iron fences are separated, and they look like cages. The material of this kind of fence is obvious and can't block some cultivators. On some fences, it is obvious that the cultivator sees the pores of great treasure. It seems that the cultivator is fighting because of the supporters or other reasons. The fight has also happened from time to time. The entire circular grandstand can accommodate about 3,000 cultivators, with at least 1,000 cultivators sitting at the moment. Even if everyone enters the venue, as long as 2 or 3 spiritual stones in the intercourse, there are at least 3,000 of the proceeds from the spiritual stones. Among the many cultivators watched inside, many people are roaring in excitement, and the platform that is covered by the divine light screen seems to be not cleaned, except for many deep trenches. Shapeshift great art. In addition to the traces produced by the bombardment, the secret place is blood-stained, and even the groove is a bonded blood clot. At the moment, a fight has just ended. A cultivator has been cut from the waist to 2 sections. The lower body is still standing, and another black cultivator with blood on his face is full of face. Checking things on the first half of the cultivator. In the face of such a scene, Wei Suo bounced after the brow, but did not move the surging sound color of the 4 secret place.